All right, so hi everybody. My name is Chelsea Lewis, and I hope that you are having a fantastic day. I am so excited to get started. I've been working on this for so long, and I'm delighted that you're here with me today, and I know that your time is very valuable and you can't get it back. So I will make sure that every minute of this session is worth it to you. Okay, I'm gonna pop into our slides. Here we go. So teaching fair use to high school students, how to steal without breaking the law. Now, a couple things before we get started. If you have any questions, you can type them into the chat. If you look at the button down there below where it says chat, there are 3 dots next to that button, and you should be able to select ask a question, and that will just let my moderator know that you have a question, and I will come back in later and answer some questions, or if it's relevant, he'll let me know and we'll answer that question right away. But I will have a special question answer session at the end. So if there's any questions you have, go ahead and type them in there and we will get them answered. So if you want to share this on social media or talk about something you've learned today, you can go ahead and use the hashtag DATcopyright. And this would also be a great way to ask any post-webinar questions that you might have, and allow me to connect with you later after the webinar. You will get the most out of this webinar if you limit your distractions. So go ahead and turn off your phone, put it on Do Not Disturb, or put it away from you even. Close the other windows on your computer, maybe even get up and go close the door so you can focus your full attention for the next 60 minutes. We've got some awesome stuff coming your way, and I don't want you to miss anything. All right, so now that that's out of the way, I am a wife and a mother of 3 boys, and we live in the beautiful Midwest state of Kansas. No, this picture is not in Kansas, and there aren't any mountains around here. But I taught for 7 years in a high school arts classroom. I taught general art. I taught graphic design and photography and even yearbook. Currently, though, I do stay home and take care of my boys, and the remaining attention I put toward the digital art teacher community. So that's just a bit about me. Let's move on to our topic, shall we? Teaching fair use to high school students, how to steal without breaking the law. I'm giving you this webinar because I know how confusing and kind of boring that copyright can be. And I've done a lot of research on the topic, and I've come up with a good system, a good presentation, a good unit for teaching copyright to high school students, and I would love to impart my knowledge to you. So maybe you've addressed this copyright in your classroom before. Maybe you shared a couple interesting court cases. Perhaps you recited the fair use rules and gave your students a few examples, but you still really don't understand it. And you want to get it before you teach it, and you don't know the magic formula to help your students understand copyright in a real and tangible way. And the truth is that copyright is boring, at least in the eyes of a high school student it is. Well, by the end of this webinar, you will be able to walk into your classroom and teach copyright and fair use with confidence and without confusion. And at the end of the session, I will have a time where you can ask questions, just like I mentioned before, and I'll have a special gift for you, so make sure you stick around. You will have the presentation that I use so that you can walk into your classroom tomorrow and teach this. You will have the teaching resources that directly tie into that presentation so that you can have a post-presentation activity to work with your students, and hopefully you'll actually be able to teach copyright and look forward to it instead of dreading it and rushing through it. So this is what I'm promising to you at the end of this webinar. So make sure you stick around. Here's a preview. You're going to get the complete copyright unit for use in your classroom. So this includes lesson plan and presentation, comprehension worksheet with the key, and a quiz with both the review and the key comes with that. So that's what you have to look forward to. All right. So to start out, I want to give you permission to say this sentence. I don't know. Why? Because I'm telling you that I don't know it all either. I know a lot more than I did 7 or 9 years ago when I first started teaching, but I am nowhere near the expert that I wish I could be in all things. Did you catch that little bit of perfectionism coming out there? Well, therefore, this is me telling you that it's okay for you not to completely understand everything before you start teaching this topic, or any topic for that matter. In fact, I think that makes you a little bit more down to earth and approachable to students, which is something that I think they need to see. And I've absolutely failed at this when I first started teaching. I thought that knowing everything was equivalent, or not knowing everything was equivalent to being incompetent. And when it comes to copyright, there's so much to know. So for step 1 in teaching copyright, give yourself the permission to not know it all. It's a pivotal shift, and it will be what sets you in the right direction when teaching copyright. All right, so before we jump into how to steal images, I like to give students a little background knowledge about copyright, what it is, and all the things that you can't do. And after they feel all overrun by all the things, all the rules, then we pull out the fair use topic. So the following slides are from the presentation that I'll provide for you at the end of this webinar, and they will give you a good idea of the kind of interactions and conversations that you can have with your students. The first thing to talk about is the misconceptions. The following slides, I'll have some myths and some facts. So as I go through them, if you would just comment in on whether you think it is a myth or a fact, we'll have a little bit of fun here. All right, so the first one, all content on the internet is free. Is that a myth or a fact? Welcome, Shane, by the way. So the first one, all content on the internet is free. Comment in there, is it a myth or is it a fact? Myth, myth, lots of myths coming in. Okay. Yes, all right, so let's take a look. It is absolutely, yes, it is a myth. That one is an easy one, I admit. But it is a little surprising sometimes that students don't catch that one. It's just, not on their radar. All right, so while permission is not absolutely necessary, it is highly recommended. Is that a myth or a fact? When I say permission, I mean permission to use an image or a graphic or a creative work or whatever the case may be. So we're talking about the second one there. Just put in there myth or fact. Kristen says myth or says fact. Sorry, Kristen. We got a myth. We got another fact. Myth, fact. Okay, so this one is a little bit back and forth. Okay, so this one is true. And I think that it's a good place for argument. In fact, I think You can have argument for this whole presentation. Highly recommended to get permission, kind of no matter what. There are certainly times where you don't have to have permission, and we'll talk a little bit about more in the fair use part. And Shane, depends on the use. Yes, true. Okay, next one. I can use an image if it has no copyright notice. Myth or fact? The third one. And again, you can substitute a graphic or an artwork or whatever with that. Okay, myths coming in. Fact, myth, a lot of myths. Okay, again, we can have some arguments here on this one, but it is a myth. But there are times where you can use images. Again, we'll go forward to our fair use topic here. Whoops, and I just gave you that one. I don't need permission if I change it in some way. That is also a myth. You do need to have permission. Fair use could kind of go in there too. Again, we'll talk about that later. The second to last one, I can use an image if I don't profit from it. This one here, is it a myth or a fact? You're not going to profit from it. It's not a big deal. Or is it a big deal? Myth or fact? Got a myth. Carolyn says myth. Terry says myth. It is. Got a couple more coming in here. Yes. Oh man, we're all one-sided here. So true. So true. It is a myth. We're all in agreement there. Last one. I don't need permission if I only use part of the image. What do you think? I don't need permission if I only use part of the image. Myth or fact? And when I say a part of an image, it could be a section, or if it's a musical work, it could be a part of a song or a part of a movie, if you're talking about a movie. A lot of myths here. Myth, myth, myth. Okay, let's find out. It is a myth. Yes. And Kim says depends on fair use. Shane says depends on the purpose. Yes. Okay. So lots of conversation you can have in your classroom. If this is something where you've got some debate going on, it could be, you could say, there are factors that come into play, and why do you think that, or what makes you say that? Or you can just say, yes, you could be right. Let's move forward and talk about some other things first, and then we'll come back to this. But we'll go ahead and move on here. So what is protected? After you get some of those misconceptions out of the way, it's time to talk through what exactly copyright is, what is protected under copyright law, and what is not. And the question response model, like kind of what we just did, works well to help them pay attention. And if you like, and I've done this on a few occasions, and it really does help bring the interest level up in the classroom, you can split the class in half or in a few different teams and see how each team, how many they can get right, and keep a tally for the remainder of presentation for kind of a fun game. But back to our slides here. All right, so here is the question. And I've got a poll coming up here for you. So if you want to answer my poll, this is kind of part of that just question answer game that you can play with your students, but I don't have any students, so I am playing with you all. When does copyright take effect? So 5 answers. 1, as soon as the design is made. 2, after the design is published. 3, after the copyright papers have been authenticated. Or is it 4, 1 year after the creation of the design, or 5, 70 years after the design is published? What do you think? We're pretty one-sided here. 1 is the answer that I'm getting, and you're all right. Yes, as soon as the design is made. There we go. What you can do with the following slides is, if they can think of any other examples, you can give points if you're doing the game that I mentioned. And as a side note here, if you're not sure if something fits into a category of not protected, then you can use it as a discussion point in your classroom, a debate. Sometimes kids really get into that kind of thing. And if one side thinks that, say, a parody of a painting cannot be covered under copyright and the other side does, you can let them talk through it and support their arguments. Obviously, you will be the final judge and you're the one giving the points, but that's entirely up to you. So as we go through these, I will read through the what's not protected, and if you have any extra examples, then you can write those out in the chats and we can take a look at that. Okay, so an idea, a procedure, or a discovery is not protected by copyright. So that would include my example being the ingredients of a recipe. That's not copyrightable. But the instructions of the recipe, they would be. That's why when you go to a restaurant, they have to tell you what's in the food, basically. Okay, so the next category are titles, names, short phrases, and slogans. And my example is the Skittles Taste the Rainbow is not copyrightable, but it can be trademarked. And we're not gonna talk about trademarks today. We had a discussion for another webinar, but it's not copyrightable. Facts, news, and research. So those aren't copyrightable. And my example is a standard calendar. Can't copyright that. Now, if you make your standard calendar all pretty and draw flowers around it or design something special on the part that goes above the calendar, that would be a copyrightable image. Let's move on to works in the public domain. So public domain, you might have to have a conversation about what exactly is public domain, talk about things that are distributed by the US government, like the Constitution, Bill of Rights, those kind of things, and anything posted on a public domain or Creative Commons website. So like Morguefile, Unsplash.com is good, needpics.com, and often they will have ads for images you can buy on those kind of websites. But that's usually how you know you're in a place where you have copyright-free images. And works not fixed in tangible expression. So unplanned speeches that are not recorded, those would not be protected. Unplanned, dances, performances. It's kind of hard to think about that in an art span, because as soon as you put your pencil to the paper, that becomes a tangible expression. The only thing that comes to mind would be like a chalk drawing that gets washed away. I can't think of anything else. All right. Well, that is what is not protected. So let's talk about what is protected. So this is a list, and if you're playing this game, then there are certain things on this list that are protected and certain things that are not protected. So you would have students write down the numbers of the ones that they think are protected. So if you would like, you can pop in there with the comments with the numbers that you think are protected. Number 1, architectural design, books, magazine articles, street dances, song lyrics, music scores, children's names, historical documents, film and theater. Number 10, news and events, photographs, mathematical equations, digital graphics, and sculptures. Those are all examples of things that people make Which one of those would be copyrightable? All right, I'll go ahead and move on. And we've got number 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, 11, 13. We've got an answer. And 14. And Terry's got it. Yes, all correct. Full points. Shane. Yes, you've got it too. Good. I'm sorry, I just didn't give you enough time. Good for you guys. All right. So by the way, all of the blue slides here, they are slides that are taken right out of the PowerPoint that I'm sending to you at the end of this webinar. So when it changes to a black slide, these are not included. I don't know why you wouldn't want a dieting person, but now that we've gone through all the do's and don'ts of copyright, we can dive into fair use. The first thing that we're going to do is I'll just show you part of this video that I have. It's silly. It's got a lot of words in it, but I think it is a good starting place. And afterwards, you could ask them some specific questions and see how well they were paying attention, which is another thing that could tie into the game that you're playing with them. It's a 3.5-minute video, and I'll only show you a part of it.
Copyright? What's copyright? It's the right of the owners to control. Right? No. Copyright? What's copyright? It's the right of the owners to control. Right? No. It's the right of the owners to control. Right? No. That's just what some owners say, okay? So copyright? What's copyright? Here we go. Copyrights for the people. Copyrights to promote creativity, balancing rights of users and owners of intellectual property. That's a fancy name for the stuff that we create. We write, we build, we play the ideas that we make.
So far, owners are telling the story of what copyright means.
All right, so I will go ahead and stop that and move forward with our presentation. It looks like I need to pull it back up here, so sorry about that. Another thing about doing a webinar for the first time, certain things that I don't know yet. So we'll pull that up here in just a second. But the next slides we're going to go through are more open response, and we're going to go through these 4 factors and break them down in a way that is understandable, and hopefully you'll be able to impart them in a way that is understandable to students too. So I will get that going as soon as it comes up. I'll just pop into the chats here. And yes, it is, like I said, it's silly, but it's funny, and it does grab the attention. A lot of words in there, a lot of words. So I have to have this open in a different window. I will pop back to the chats occasionally, but I will not be able to necessarily see any comments that come. So go ahead and ask your questions. If you have any questions, I will come back to them later. All right, so the 4 factors test. You have 4, and for each one of these, I have an example that would be relatable to a high school student. This is another question, answer, response thing. So after you go through the question, you can say, is it true or is it false? And you can give points to students accordingly. So educational, nonprofit, and personal, that would be fair use. But if it's commercial or for-profit or entertainment, that would not be fair use. So an example of that would be, could you use an image you found on Google search engine to promote your high school musical? And if you want to go ahead and answer that question in the chats, is it a yes or a no? Could you Use an image you found on a Google search engine to promote your high school musical. Yes or no? Terry says no. Stacy says no. Karen says no. No, no, no. By the way, there is a little bit of a delay, so if it doesn't look like I'm responding to your comment very quickly, that would be why. Yes. All right, so the answer is no. Your high school musical is an entertainment and a for-profit production, so you couldn't do that. The second one is the nature of the copyrighted work. So think about if it's published or if it's fact. You could use an image like that, or a work, artwork. If it is unpublished or a quote creative work, then that would not be fair use. Example being, would it be okay to use a graphic of a dragon that you found on the internet, an internet gaming website, as a cover image for a flyer you made to promote a party? Slip back into the comments here. Is that a yes or a no? What do you think? Trying to make these things relatable to high school students. Give you a couple more seconds. All right, Terry says no. Carolyn says no. Okay. The answer is, Stacy says no. Karen says no. Let's find out if you're all right. No, you couldn't do that either. A graphic is someone else's creation and you would need to get permission to use it. Next one, the amount of the work. If it's a small amount of the work or a not significant part, that one would be fair use. If it's a large amount or not the heart of the work, that one is not fair use. So the example being, does a radio station have the right to play a 30-second clip of a hit song that to emphasize a point that they are trying to make? Yes or no on number 3. Oh, we had a couple of things. Yes, not sure. A private party, yes. Good stipulation there, Caitlin and Shane. Yeah. Especially if it was a party that you were charging people to get into, that would also probably be a factor in that. But for number 3 here, the amount of work. Could you use a 30-second clip of a song? Not sure on the clip length rules. Terry says no. Ask permission. Good answer, Karen. It's kind of a gray area there. Like a lot of things in copyright, a lot of gray area. The answer is yes, actually. 30 seconds is not a significant amount of time, especially if it's not the heart of the song. You could also translate this to a movie clip. Couldn't show the climax of the movie. That would be something that might hurt the sales of the movie. If somebody already knows what's going to happen, they might not want to see it. All right, number 4, the effect on the market of the work. Is there no impact on the product market? Is there restricted access to the public? That one would be fair use. But if there is a significant impact on the market, or if it's made available, then that one would not be fair use. So an example, could you use a little Facebook icon on a club sign-up sheet to indicate that you have a Facebook page? Thoughts? Yes or no? Could you do that? All right, Shane says yes on this one. Okay, now I know. Carolyn says yes. Caitlin says yes. Stacy says yes. Let's see what we've got. The answer is yes. Couldn't hurt Facebook with using an icon. And in fact, that would probably help them because it'd be sending people to their website. All right. So now, how do you remember these 4 factors? When I'm thinking through using an image, I like to be able to tell them why, and it's good to be able to pop these out. So number 1, purpose and character, nature of the work, amount of the work, the effect on the market, all those things. But if you use a mnemonic device, you can use mine if you like. Panting noblemen attacked elegantly, to help you remember this. And I just found this on this website that's posted down there below, mnemonicgenerator.com. It was very helpful, so you may use that if you like. All right, so give me just one moment. Make sure that I've got things going in the right direction. Okay. All right, so I've got this infographic that I'm going to have available for you. My moderator is going to put that in for me, and you're welcome to use this if it is helpful for you, but I'm not sure that you're going to want to put it in your classroom. I don't know how well that would go for you. But this first part just kind of spells out fair use in a very easy, clear, understandable way. And then the next part is the first one, purpose of the use. And it, for a side note here, it doesn't include education, but that one would definitely be one that you could include in the purpose of the use. And the next part of the infographic includes the rest of them. So the nature of the work, the amount and substantiality, they say as well, and the effect on the market. The last part is more information that you can learn about fair use from their resources. Okay, so to demonstrate fair use, let's evaluate my use of this infographic. Do you think that it was okay for me to download this? I just found it off the internet and I put it on here. Was that an okay thing for me to do? Or did I cross some copyright line? You can comment here to argue your case, and you can use your own fictitious circumstance in your classroom to argue the point. What do you think? Is it okay for me to use? Caitlin says yes for education. Karen says yes. Oh, that's so good. I'm not going to get arrested. This is for education, so it's a good point that, yes, it would be okay. So, and I'm using, well, I did use the whole work of it, so it would not be okay. And I did cite it. That is also true. So it probably wouldn't affect the market. And it's kind of that Facebook thing again, that if you use their icon, it'll send them to you. If I credit them, then I will send you guys to their website. Moving along. Question that you might get, and is a good thing to talk about, is how many of the factors do you need to check mark when you're going through these? And the answer to that would be, it depends. I know it's not a great answer. So much of these things are so open-ended, and in some cases a person can get away with just check marking the first two and it'd be totally fine. And then in another case, somebody could get sued and lose a case because they only check marked the first two. So it's kind of hard to say, and it's something that's so dependent on each case that you talk about. But it's great debate, great conversation that you can have with students. All right, so for homework, I'm not going to give you guys homework, but for homework for your students, it's a great idea to go talk about some court cases to make it more real and tangible. And I have some court cases here that I'm going to pull up for you. So this is a really good website because it covers some of the more visual cases. So this one, Rogers versus Coons, it's a great example of somebody just changing the medium. So this is the original picture. Somebody made a sculpture and they got sued for making that sculpture from the image. Here you've got possibly the most popular or the most well-known case, Associated press versus fairy. This is the image, and it was cropped and cut. So this designer didn't even use the whole image, and it became a very well-known image. But they got sued as well. Carew, or I think it's Carew, versus Prince. This is a very interesting one. Talking about that first one, the purpose, it is a parody. And this artist here kind of gets a kick out of using copyright cases and seeing what cases he can win. He's won some and he's lost some. It's a very interesting story if you want to look it up sometime. Modern dog design versus Target. And then lastly, they love to talk about this one, Vanilla Ice versus David Bowie. Are you guys familiar with any of those cases? Ever talked about those in your classrooms? Yes, talk about some of those. Caitlin, which one have you talked about? Any or all of them? Shane, yep. Yeah, like I said, there's some popular ones, and that's a really good website to use too. The Hope poster, yes. It's a good one to go through. I'm gonna pull up the PowerPoint again. Here we go. And talk about, oh my goodness, did we make it? All right, we are through the PowerPoint. And if you've made it this far, you do deserve a medal, but I don't have any of those. I'm so sorry. But I will give you the next best thing as my gift to you. I will send you this full lesson plan. Now I'm going to have a link on my site, and I'm going to show you exactly where that is. I should have an offer for you coming up here soon, and you can click right into that, and there's a link with this code, so you write it down if you need to, but I also put it on the page that I'm going to share with you. But again, it's got that full lesson plan, full presentation, the comprehensive worksheet, and all the things that you'll need to walk into your classroom tomorrow and get started. I know that you're here to get some answers and some how-tos on digital design, and because you want to do the best for your students. And this free unit is a great starting point. Thank you, Terry. Thank you for letting me know that you've got that. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But this is just a sample of what's available at digitalartteacher.com. And I've got so much more for you. So if you want this kind of curriculum in your classroom, then let me show you what I am so excited to show you about today. What if you never, ever had to search for a graphic design or digital photography unit again? What if you were able to save the time that you spend strolling down that black hole called Pinterest every weekend? If you've been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I want to introduce to you Digital Art Teacher membership. It's a key benefit to joining this is that you'll not only be able to eliminate the need to plan another digital lesson, but you'll also you will also have the support behind you of the DAT community. So let me pop in to my website here and show you a couple things. The hands-on computer units that are included here, they show you and your students step-by-step how to work through Illustrator and Photoshop. The curriculum here includes 1 full year of teaching materials for graphic design and 1 full semester for digital photography. And you can work through the curriculum straight through and not plan another unit for the rest of the year. Or you can pick and choose the ones that work best for you. Let's pop into one of these real quick and show you what I'm talking about. So this one is our intro unit, and there's a lesson plan, presentation, checklist, grade sheet, worksheets, test, review, and key with that test, and there's even some lesson examples. in there. The different lessons will include different specialized items that go with it, and this one does have a video series that goes with it. So students will come in here and click on each one of these videos as they're ready to move on. This allows them to work at their own pace, and it will allow you to work at your own pace if it's something that you're needing to learn as well. Let's click back into one of the Photoshop units. So if you scroll down here, you'll see all of the units on the page, or if you need to just pop into the one that applies to you, you can do that as well. So if I pop into this one, you'll see a lot more files available. This is a photography unit, so there's a lot of image examples for your use. But it also still has the worksheets and lesson plans and all those things as well. Down here, you'll see the videos to match. And there's 15 in this specific one, but there'll be different amounts in all of the different ones. Some of the units, like this copyright unit that we're talking about here today, will not have any videos with it, and that's maybe kind of nice for when you don't have a server working at your school. But there's different kinds of units throughout the site. If you don't have any experience with Adobe programs, this is a great place for you to start. You may not understand Photoshop or Illustrator overnight, but this is a slow-paced program designed for students when they're first learning, and so it's a good place to start. You can eliminate your Adobe-produced stress and join the digital art teacher community. I want to let you know that we're only opening the membership to a small group so that I can really focus and answer the needs of the group. So if this opportunity is for you, don't miss out. All right, so let's go ahead and pop into that page that you should have been sent for your offer. So this is the page here. There's your special 20% discount for making it through this whole webinar. Here is your link to get access, and right up here, that's your free copyright unit. You pop in there and you use this, and you'll get that unit for absolutely free. Try us out. There's really no risk here. You can try me for 7 days. And if you don't absolutely love what's here to offer, then we'll refund you. No big deal there. We do have two pricing plans here, and there you have your discount again, 6 months or 12 months, whatever works best for you. We'll have you set up with all the curriculum on the site within 24 hours. Of clicking that button. And the curriculum alone on the website is worth over $400. So if you were only to use the membership for building a curriculum, you would be well in the right place. But we also have a beta Slack community channel where I go every single morning to answer questions, and you can post those questions, you can share student work, you can meet the other art teachers who are teaching some of the same things that you are teaching. So this is the community that I'm talking about. It is done through Slack. This is the added bonus this year. Like I said, it is beta. We are trying this out, but this is where you can get your graphic design, photography questions answered, share that student work, and meet other art teachers who are doing the same things as you. So instead of, if this is you, sitting in front of your computer with a debilitating problem that you don't have any idea how to fix, you can go ahead and slip over to that Slack community and ask it, and we'll help you work through it. And I think that will be very, very helpful. Again, this year we are only offering that 6-month and 1-year membership. So So go ahead and jump on that if it is something that you need. And we do have that 20% discount until next Tuesday. All right. So let me pop into some question answer before we get off here. Do you have any questions? Going to have my chats open here, and my moderator is going to let me know if I miss any. So we make sure that you get all of your questions answered. I do have a couple questions here that were sent to me before the webinar, so I'll go ahead and go through these before, while we wait for you guys to ask your questions. So what makes the DAT community, Digital Art Teacher community, different from other graphic design or digital photography units out there? Well, what's different about Digital Art Teacher is that we offer the full comprehensive curriculum. Everything follows in sequence and every lesson builds on another. But like I said before, you can skip around and use the ones that work best for you as well. Carolyn asks, are students able to access the lessons with one single teacher subscription? So you are the only one who has access to the website, but the videos are viewable. So you can send them to my website and they can view the videos, and you download and distribute the worksheets. Otherwise, they would get all the examples and all the answers, the test keys, all that stuff. I don't think that's really a very good teaching model. Good question though, Carolyn. Thank you. Okay, I've got one more question that was sent in, and go ahead if you've got another question, pop in and ask it. I would love to answer your questions. All right, my question here is, how does copyright come into play with memes? Well, okay, so this answer is a little complicated, but it's a really good discussion question. So we go through those 4 factors. Oh dear, now I'm going to have to remember. Panting, nobleman, why can't I remember? Panting, nobleman, attacked elegantly. That's what it was. Sorry about that. So the purpose of the meme usually is to make people laugh or to comment on something. So it's a little sticky, but that's one that you could claim. So you could have that one because it's a parody of sorts. So that one's you could claim that one. The nature of the meme is not usually published, so you can't claim that one. So we're 1 for 2. And the amount depends on the meme, but usually they use the whole meme. So using all of the image, not okay. So we're still stuck at. Lastly, the effect on the market. I would think that one little meme isn't going to make a major effect on one's market, but of course that depends on what the meme is of. So you could possibly do that one too. So you could have 2 for 4. Not a great case, but it is a case. And of course, it's something that you could discuss in your classroom. And memes are all over the place too. So it's a good one to talk about. But of course, if you were to find an image on a public domain website, that you can use for free, then it wouldn't be against any laws of any kind. Any more questions for me? Jody asks, do you have lessons that utilize Photoshop and Illustrator? Yes. So let me pop back over to me for a second. Hi. Pop back over to the page here and get to this. So this is the Photoshop or the photography one, and with the nature of photography, a lot of these first ones are talking about using your camera, but as you kind of come down, the rest of these are all talking about Photoshop, but not just learning Photoshop. So this one's an introduction on Photoshop, but how to use Photoshop to colorize photos, how to use Photoshop to restore damaged photos, to cut out the background, to do a still life photography, time lapse, and so on and so forth. So for graphic design, if that is you, I'll go ahead and click on all of them here. The first half, these ones all talk about Illustrator, and then Photoshop comes in here with this different color. So we use both Illustrator and Photoshop for graphic design, but just Photoshop for photography. Great question. All right. Any more questions for me? Couple more seconds just in case you've got one. If you've got one, go ahead and pop it in here. Otherwise, I'll start saying my goodbyes. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll pop back to myself again. Hi there. Remember that this membership is only open for the remainder of this week, and the special webinar sale is only available through the offer here. So make sure you click there to get it. But don't wait, again, only open through this week. So excited to connect with you, and I hope that you're having a fantastic start to the year. Thank you again for those of you who have made it through this whole webinar with me. Oh, Carolyn has a question. Can you share a list of all the graphic design topics at some point? Absolutely, yes. It would be a lot easier for me to send that out through an email, and I know all the people who are here, so I will just send that out to you. That'll be a lot easier for you. You can go to the website here, and actually, let me just give you this. You can peruse them and see them for yourself. Okay, there, that is the website that I have been using to show you my lessons. Great. Okay, I will be hanging out in Facebook here for a little bit. So if you go to my page, you post a question for anything, I will be there to answer it for the next half hour to hour or so. So if you have a question, you can use that hashtag DAT copyright, and I will look for that. You can go to my Facebook page and do that as well. It's just Digital Art Teacher, and I will catch you next time. Okay, thanks y'all. Hope to see you soon. Bye.